Unlimited Data by Eugen Bacon. This is a story of an illiterate woman in the village who gives all for her husband, her children. Unlimited Data is about a program that comes in the form of a Bluetooth chip inserted into the woman's body. The story begins. Unlimited data. Must have a smart phone, the job ad said. Section break. He was good with gas fitting, roofing, drainage, even power outlets, ladders, testing and repairing. Most electrical things he could do, and gardening. His hands were clever with greenscapes. He could water and feed lilies or stinkwood, trim shrubs or mow grass, fertilize sunflower or pluck cashews from the plant. What he wasn't good with was lies. The employer hadn't been upfront at the interview about the data, how it was out of pocket. Section break. When he closed his eyes, he forgot about poverty. On special occasions, he took Natukunda to the village dance. But now there was a toddler in tow, so they could be famous on the red dust a mere 15 minutes as laughter drowned out the drums before baby Mukasa rejected his temporary sitter, often an old woman, and demanded in wailful chorus his mother's tit. And the boy was greedy. He had to expose both tits before he stopped screaming. Kaikara wished he could see it, how it was before Mukasa. But his eyes were broken, reflections of lost dreams fluttering away with locust wings. He swore he would never do it again, but fate was a tricky thing, and a poor man had one solace. Already, Natukunda's bleeding had stopped, and her breasts looked tender, even a little swollen. And though the toddler was still suckling, Kaikara suspected his wife was pregnant again, especially with that constipation and her craving for calcium stone, soft as chalk to chew. He reached out a hand to the gods of the mountain and demanded a better explanation. Section break. Kaikara was an itinerant handyman on coal, peddling over fields, tarmac, and potholes, moving from suburb to suburb, gas fitting, roofing, draining, mowing. Bing! Another job, and he wheeled to it, phone in his pocket. But doing jobs on coal gobbled data. Section break. The black market was in Kabalaga. The wet mire, as he weaved around the slum and its tin roofs, walls made of carton or nylon, told Kaikara that the bunch of jobless youths with a prowl of eyes staring at his bicycle were not harmless. They wore jungle shirts and sandals made of tires. The programmer he visited demanded a month's wage, the whole 6,000 shillings of it. But even that was better than the bundle data deal of 40 megabytes a day for mobile internet at 500 shillings or 25 megabytes a week for internet everywhere at 1,750 shillings. That is what the employer was offering to slash from Kaikara's wages, leaving him in debt. Kaikara looked at the programmer named Sanyu like the radio. Bluetooth, you say? Section break. Natukunda had a stall at the market in old Kampala. Wood, sticks, and sacks held the ramshackle thing together. She sold pineapples, mangoes, watermelons, bananas, and jackfruits, sometimes papayas, guavas, sweet potatoes, and tomatoes. What she earned was a pittance, but she could buy the occasional gomezi of imported cotton, 6 meters of it. Rose and lime were her favorite, puffed sleeves brightly colored and reaching the floor. Each gomezi fitted her just right, its sash over her hips. When the meters allowed, she made a headdress. Sometimes she sent money to her parents out east in Mbale. They were always sick with malaria, bilharzia, or dysentery, and the witch doctors' herbs and beheaded cockerel were not working. The old folk needed to walk into a clinic, and the white man's tablets cost money. Now she looked at her husband as though he wore empty tins around his leg. "You are mad, foolish, or both. Take me back to my parents and they will return your dowry." "Crooked wood shows the best sculptor," said Kaikara. "The programmer is working with nature. His invention will change our lives." And who knows about this programming?" "Everybody." "So why aren't they buying it?" "He who can't dance says the ground is full of rocks. But you and I know better than that, Natukunda. We dance like there is no tomorrow." And you say, chippy?" "Yes." "Inside my body?" "Yes." "Will it hurt?" "So tiny in your neck, you won't feel a thing." "Like when I cut my foot on that hole and the doctor at the clinic did me tetanus with a needle and I didn't get sick?" "Yes, easy like a shot. You are doing this for us, for you and me and our baby Mukasa, and your parents now too. I can work with no worry about data on my phone, and you can send more money to your people. It's important that you do this." "For what?" "Unlimited data. It's called Bluetooth. Waves from your body will connect with my smartphone and will pair. You'll never need a telephone for yourself. Your whole body will be a smartphone, and I'll never need to buy data bundles again. It all comes with a chip." "Will it do it for how long?" "It lasts a lifetime." "And a man named after the radio told you this?" "When you show the moon to a child, it only sees your finger. Natu, try and see the shiny moon beyond the finger." "Why can't you do it?" she asked, as Mukasa whispered drowsy-eyed at her breast. She tucked her up around him. "You take the chippy, Kaikara." "A woman is the queen of the earth. The code needs your fertile body to work properly." Section break. Everyone was complicit in a fact that was neither fiction nor myth, but data. It did not depend on age or knowledge, just the insertion of a chip that started with an ideology and set into code. What happened after was unprecedented. The first victim, Natukunda, was a woman in her 20s who lived in old Kampala. Natukunda started displaying black moods and nearly battered her toddler, Mukasa, to death if her husband hadn't snatched away the ill-fortuned waif. By nightfall of the same day, the woman was complaining of severe fatigue. She refused to eat or drink, even when a relative girl, a teenage daughter of a cousin of an aunt, brought the woman her favorite plate of luwombo, cassava meal steamed in banana leaves and served in ground nut sauce. Natukunda wouldn't consume anything all through the next day. She developed a dread to be seen and spoke in undone language, dreams inside dreams. When her husband dragged her from dark pockets under the bed, in a corner of the pit latrine, under sacks in a grain store, she came out scratching at him and tearing at her neck. But she also displayed a shortness of breath. The mental aberration, when it happened, exposed the woman to have forgotten her own name, that of her child and her husband's. Natu, it's me, Kaikara. She blinked at him. By the time her eyes lolled and her body shuddered, she was sobbing through tissue, blood, and spit. It was too late to predict anything other than her chest would stop moving. Her pulse dimmed and then vanished, and no air came out of her nose. Just then, glass-eyed, she gave one last shudder. Heaving words fell from her sigh and cast swirling. They formed a line like night ink, and to anyone who could read, sadly her husband couldn't. The words in a jumble said, live, tracking, assessment, non-conformance, positioning, proof of concept, market, network usage, volatile, sad, part and mute, hop on, and mute, unmute, unmute. Section break. The programmer climbed onto the roof of the penthouse in Muyenga for a full view of the moon. This suburb, famous for its hills, was the Hollywood of the diaspora. It showcased in the top 10 richest neighborhoods in the world. Looking out at the horizon, he understood it was the first time he had fished in a sea of wealth swollen with ghosts of lost dreams. On the roof, right there, between scarlet dust and a galaxy of waltzing stars, he shut his eyes from tragic memories. What happened in old Kampala was the first of anomalies. Unlimited Data by Eugen Bacon.